Honda Racer, King Racer.
It's Japanese muscle. Let's get We're going to clean that up a little bit.
I can't afford it, but I can figure it out.
Exactly.
I don't remember what was wrong with the car, but it was way off. It was going like 5.0s all night.
Yeah, we blew it up in Indy
But
the
it
next
sounded
weekend.
fast.
It does sound
and everybody
fast.
was coming up to us like, man, that thing's getting it. I'm like, I know, right? I think, quote, we need to put a solid axle on this dude.
Yeah.
End quote.
Yeah, end quote. Yeah. Honestly, like that's the way it's always been with IDS. Is like we always put it on a car, test it, make sure it's going to work, make sure it's going to clear everything before we'll ever even really talk about it and before we can sell it.
I'm like, what are you trying to do? I'm like, listen, dude, I literally have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to let go of this button, and I'm going to be just as surprised as you are.
Amazing.
Yeah.
There hasn't been much revision since the very first one he made. I mean, very little.
John, it's good. You're good at cutting a light with stitches.
Oh, crazy good. Yeah.
Probably one of the better ones.
Yeah. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's the 7 P's, man. Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Ricky, that's a new T-shirt.
Rick's so good at what he does.
He is, man.
That's legit.
Like right when you think you're going to start a YouTube channel, because we don't do that.
Yeah.
You see this and you're like,
I started a YouTube channel.
we're just
See
going to
all the
hire
dollar
Rick.
signs. Like, nah, we're good.
No thanks.
Well, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another edition of our podcast. We got, man, I feel like I say this every time, but it's so true. I just love people.
Yeah.
You guys are some of my favorite people that I get to see a lot that are really a part. We do a lot of business together. We do a lot of racing together. We do a lot of everything together because we live very, very close to each other. So that's a great thing.
Yeah,
I feel like we're all pretty close to the same age, but I actually feel like I grew up watching you guys race because I didn't like drag racing that much.
right.
But yeah, this is Dave and John. That's Dave, John.
What's going on?
Import Drag Solutions. So they're the King Racers.
Oh, man.
America's favorite racers.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We're trying for sure.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we started racing with domestics that we really like sort of separated ourselves from the real racers. Like, We're like, yeah, you guys stay over there. We're gonna go over here.
Well, so when like I said, I didn't really like drag racing, but there was a local event called Friday Night Lights, or Thursday Night Lights at the time.
Yeah.
Both of you raced. I had no race car. I actually had a Honda. I had an EG hatch. It was sweet. It was a sweet
You can take
ride.
it back.
Yeah, I know. I've been. Dude, you know the prices of those things now? It's insane.
Right.
I was looking for one today.
Right.
I could buy something really nice for what you have to pay.
If they're
for
clean, it's worth it.
Like crash them all up. There's nothing left.
There's
Right,
not many of them left.
They're falling apart.
But you had a hatch that was
Yep.
turbo. It had gold wheels. I remember that.
Yep.
And John, I mean, sorry, Dave, but John was the original King Racer. He definitely.
Right.
Oh, he cleaned my clock. I understand. It's no big deal.
I figured out the right wheel drive earlier than David did.
Yeah, Dave
Yeah.
was stuck with the funny looking car with the big
Yeah.
slicks on the front.
Yeah.
Just didn't work right great.
No, it didn't. We went to, where were we at? World Cup with Maston and another awesome dude. But we went to World Cup for like the first time, and I was like, no chance that I'm going to stay front wheel drive like this.
Yeah, he
That
was
way
shopping
too hard.
for S2000s on the way home. He's like, I gotta go real drive.
Yeah.
So
I had to switch.
So you guys, just to turn back the wheels here, both of you guys raced independently, right? Like you obviously you guys had your own thing. Your first drag car was a 240, right?
Yeah, I mean, I dabbled in drag racing before that, but that was the car that really got me farther along in drag racing to actually start realizing what I was doing. But
Yeah. Well, we are making fun of John being King Racer, but he literally in Cincinnati, John was, I mean, still a legend, you know, because your car was stick shift.
Right.
And back then there was, we call it no prep today. It just wasn't prepped. And, and John would be grabbing gears and like going sideways and popping and wing, bing, bing, bye, 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 bye. It
all
was
the
awesome.
fireballs, the pop, people love it.
It's
Yeah.
funny.
And you know, you were driving your car to the track and yeah, it was awesome.
Those were fun days. I mean, that 2011, 2012 when TNL was really popping, it was an absolute blast. I mean, we'll always remember that.
Is there a picture of you with a crown on too somewhere?
Yeah, I think so. They did a crown for a little bit. It was a whole show. It was a whole.
Yeah, the crazy thing about Thursday Night Lights is there'd be like 10 race cars there and 7,000 people.
I know it was
Oh
wild.
yeah,
It was what a time to be alive.
I know.
for sure an event. It was good, and I think they did good putting it on Thursdays. Like it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, they did that deal every week,
yeah,
man.
it was awesome. Didn't get in the way of nothing. Found something to do on a Thursday night. Go down there and win. I mean, guaranteed payouts, small payouts, but
Right.
guaranteed payouts. So
No, I
it was
went.
cool.
I actually went back. I was kind of actually preparing for this, and I went back and I looked at. I found some old posts when you guys had tagged yourselves in some of them with your open trailers and stuff, and then I went back and I seen. I think it was a post or something for Street Life Tour, and I went and I looked at the payouts for like their streetcar class, their small tire class, and it was like nothing, you know, and like.
Right.
But it was still a great, successful event. I think like
Yeah.
small tire ran for like $750,
Yeah,
and like they had a great turnout. And like
and it was fun.
yeah, everybody
that's-
loved
that's
it.
cool.
It was great.
Well,
It
they
was a lot
did.
of money back then, really.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they did it every week. So I mean,
Yeah.
you could go down there, and I think our class, whatever, paid maybe $500. So, but you could go down and win $500 every.
Did you ever beat John at that during that time?
Oh yeah,
Probably.
but it was like 1 year. Like he struggled. I think that it was. I think I look back. I maybe did some research too.
I think once,
I had
once
to
you
go
got the
back in the-
240,
yeah.
once you got the 240, you beat me a few times.
You never beat it with
I
the
beat
Honda.
myself.
never with the Honda. No, I don't think I ever won. I don't think I beat anybody with that thing. Like it was fun on the highway. Like it was a really fun car as like a street car, but like never. I don't even know how fast I went. I think I gave up pretty early on that thing, but it was a cool car, you know. But it wasn't until I got the S14, like that it was like, all right, this is kind of the way to go. They're light, wheelbase was perfect. I was like, this is gonna work.
How fast you go in your Honda?
Maybe I think 10, 20s, maybe like 135, something like
That's
that.
getting it in a front wheel drive Honda. With
Yeah,
2011.
yeah.
2011. Yeah, I mean it. I guess I don't give it enough credit. It was pretty quick for its time and stuff like that, but nothing where we're at.
How fast
now.
did you go back then, John?
10 O's, 10 1. I mean,
So I was close.
yeah.
You almost had me. It's a Monica.
It's tree game, man. It's just what it is. You still got it.
Yeah. Back then, I didn't know it mattered that much, but
Yeah, you're just taking off whenever,
Right.
and well, it was arm drop back
it
then.
was
too.
arm drop then. Yeah.
Yeah.
What got you into racing then? Like our cars, or that's a broad statement, but
Nothing really. I mean, when I was a kid, I played with RC cars and I used to take them apart all the time. And then once I got a real car, I would just
that's
take
quite the
off.
feat with the size of your
I
hands.
know, right? But I had no influence. Like I had no parents that were into race cars. Like I just took off myself and ran with it. And then being poor, I didn't have any money to pay people to do shit, so I just did it myself. So
Yeah.
I just learned from there.
Brad was into RC cars,
Yeah.
and he was into Hondas and Toyotas and stuff. So similar. Would
Similar, honestly, similar story. Raced RC cars. And then I think like being in like a tech high school and just having buddies that had race cars, it was kind of one of those things where it's like the competitiveness started there really.
Yeah.
But before I went backwards. Before I had the Civic, I had an 88 Supra. And it was sweet. Like I
you
had
did
that.
go backwards?
I went
Yeah.
backwards, you know, and because it was cleaner, it wasn't, you know, pile of parts. But honestly, it wasn't until, you know, the 240 that I really started taking it super, super serious. But no, same thing. Parents weren't in the cars. Honestly, I won't say it now. He kind of respects what we do now, my dad, but like he hated the Civic, like hated it because it was my daily at the time, and so. Like I would break it on a Friday night racing it. I'd break an axle or something. Tow truck would take it home, and I'd have to borrow Dad's car to get around for the weekend or get to work.
Yeah.
So like a bunch of times I can remember like him meeting me in the driveway with a tow truck. Like, broke your daily again? Like, yeah, that happens.
Literally the
Sorry,
same
Pops.
story. I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, my parents hated that I raced, but now they love it. They come to the races and they support it 100%. But at the time, they were not big fans for sure.
Well, Brad and I were having this conversation one day that, you know, like we're in this little world, right? And in the way that we view cars, we think that like, most people like cars. Well, like he read an article one day that most people think about cars like they think about an appliance. Like, is my, you know, I got this new washer and dryer that's touchscreen. It's sick. Like, that's how they think about their car is like, it's just something that to take them somewhere. Like that's
Yeah.
all that it is. So yeah,
And that they're going to replace in a few years.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Something different. Yep.
it could be bright and shiny or whatever, but yeah, they don't really care that much about it. Which
Yeah, we
is,
think way different. Like, how can I ruin this car?
yeah,
Make it faster. Yeah.
yeah. How can I spend an unseen amount of money on a front wheel drive Honda to make it go 1020s?
Endless. Endless.
So, how did the two of you meet? Was it love at first sight, or did that?
We have a true love story. Really, yeah.
Honestly, I don't even remember. T&L basically brought us together.
Yeah.
We both had some mutual friends, and just racing together. We just.
I remember you parting out the. Was it the blue car?
Yeah.
You parted the 2J deal and went back to SR, and I bought everything, like the Pro EFI, the trans, I think maybe at the time, and all the other stuff. And so, like, I bought all this pile of parts from him, and then I was like, hey, you need to help me put this car together. So he, like, did a lot of the fab work. I think that's kind of probably where it
we just started talking a lot more because of that transaction, I think. But yeah, it's the whole IDS thing started not long after that.
So you guys were racing. So Dave buys all stuff from you. Then it was 2Js with a stick.
No,
right?
auto trans.
Yeah.
Oh, so you had an auto trans at one point? Well, I know you did recently, but back then you had an auto trans?
Yeah, when I was 2J in the S13, it was TH400. And then he went A340 with his car.
I put the stock auto in it. There was at the time I was putting together the car. I want to say it was Javier was chasing like the A340 record. And I'm like, that's doable. Like, I think that I could chase that. Because I always wanted to have, like, a target. I was always like, you got to have an end game, which I realize that it's a moving target now. Like, there's never really an end game. But I always had, like, hey, this is the target I'm after with this car. So this is what I want to do. And so I felt like it was a realistic target. I think at the time he was going, like, 890s in a stock auto trans. So we kind of did that. But yeah, that's really it. But it wasn't until you raced the blue car. I remember it, like we were racing at National Trails. That's kind of like that whole story is kind of how IDS kind of started. But
so you guys, was that when you wrecked?
Yeah. Yep.
So, okay, so to kind of to get a chronological order here, we got Honda Racer, King Racer.
Yeah.
Honda Racer buys a bunch of parts from the king of the racers.
Yeah.
Then after that, you need help putting the parts in. So then you start working together, started racing together.
Yep.
No business at this point. We're just homies with
with cars, 240s.
Yep.
All right, and then so when does the partnership of like we're going to try to make money at this?
So I think I had the S13 and I started when I took the 2J stuff out and gave it and sold it to David. I went back to an SR and made the car more street car because like everything went in cycles. Like everybody was super into drag racing, and then everybody went back to street racing. So then I kind of built the car to go back to street racing,
like roll race stuff.
Yeah, roll race stuff, and we had a couple of years of fun with that. And then everybody switched back to drag racing. So then I put a dog box in the car, and then I was looking to drag race a lot more heavier. And then once I put the dog box in it, that was the year that I wrecked it at IFO. But David and I had been talking before that because, obviously we're starting to get a lot more heavy in the drag race, and we're like, all our friends have double adjustable suspension on their F bodies and stuff.
Yeah.
And we're like, why can't we have that? We got to figure out some way to put double adjustable suspension on our imports. And it was just more of a talk, and we didn't really.
Well, because there was a void in the market.
We just kind of
100%.
talked about it, like, oh, we should do that one day, and then never really got anywhere past that. And then I actually we're at IFO, and I hit a transition in the middle of the track, and it got the car out of shape, and I totaled it there. And I was fortunate enough to get an S14 chassis pretty quick, and I actually got a whole new car built that year and was out racing it. But before we even got it out, we were like, let's put some double adjustables on this thing and see how it does. And so we fabbed up some mounts, got some double adjustables put on it, and literally the first time we got it out, it went 1.240. It went to 1.260 foot. The very first day we got it out.
Yeah.
So was that on the front or the rear of the car?
It was just on the rear.
Just rear.
At first.
And it was still IRS at this point, all that stuff.
Yeah, all stock stuff. It's just we put some basic QA ones on the thing that are double adjustable, and went out there, turned some knobs, and we were just throwing darts, and sure enough, it worked amazing. And then we kind of like told people on Drag 240 pages like, hey, look what we did, and they're like, oh my god, take my money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're kind of like, huh.
Yeah,
I
there's
guess
a
we could
gap
sell
here.
these. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we could do it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like we didn't have an account with anybody. We didn't have a way to even buy them. So we were using like a racer account from a buddy that has like a Jegs discount.
Yeah.
So we were buying them from
was
there
bad.
and like fabbing them together and making them fit. Like we didn't really, at the time, it wasn't like a,
It wasn't,
boom, this big idea, right? We
Right.
had like you said, we had a need. So we built these suspensions, we put it together and it worked. And a couple people saw it. We put it out there. They wanted it. So then we started like building it. And then really like we knew like, okay, this needs to get a little bit better. So we partnered with a company that helps us still. So worked out pretty cool.
So you both at this point, you both have 240s.
Yeah.
But after you wrecked that original 240, you have the 240 that you have now.
Yeah.
And then it was stick. It was a stick shift
Yeah,
car.
it was stick shift right off. I basically took everything out of the S13, whole drivetrain, put it in the S14, and then went and raced it.
Yeah.
So.
Did you ever try to go fast with the stick? Like,
No, that car has been auto its whole life.
so John's grabbing gears, you're putting it in drive.
Yep, I just put it in the spot that said at the time it did say D, so I just put it in drive and just let it go.
Right.
Well, and that's kind of a great thing, really. Like, John going fast with the stick, you're going fast with the automatic.
Yeah.
Separated us.
Yeah, it worked out really. And then you're really never racing each other because you're going to run the stick shift class. And
Yeah.
So back then when you did that, how long was the car IRS?
I stayed IRS till 2019 or 18.
Yeah, I stayed IRS
2019.
forever.
Oh, I didn't
We
realize.
I almost didn't want him to switch. Like we had to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't switch, because at the time we had already built my subframe and I was solid axle. So like, there's a whole story that leads up to that. But I was like, dude, we have a whole clientele base that likes the RS. We have a whole clientele base that digs the solid axle stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't switch. Like that's a bad business move. But like he's like, we've already kind of proved what we need to do on that. So like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, we went real fast with the IRS stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we went 119 60 foots with a stick on IRS, and then it did good. It worked fine, but it's like, the axles weren't great. Like the whole setup itself wasn't great. Like we had the bolts would back out of the axles all the time. There was always some sort of issue that we were running into, and it was just kind of like, why not just switch to solid axle and see what we can do with that? So
Yeah, you're just chasing dumb stuff.
yeah.
So your car, you raced it with the IRS and automatic. How fast did you go with the IRS and automatic?
I don't know. Man, I'd have to say it probably went 850s, 880, 850, 860,
You guys were both
something like that.
still street driving the cars.
Yeah, it wasn't because
Somewhat,
I mean, we would do more street classes, full glass, roll up and down windows. Same thing, big fuel cell in the back of the car. And it's went through so many changes. I think I've had the car for 10 years, but I don't know how fast the car ever went. I never paid attention to how fast it went quarter mile because we made like the transition to eighth mile stuff. So it's kind of off my radar for a little
I can't
bit.
remember.
Yeah, maybe 850 car. Nothing crazy.
So at what point did you make the product that you guys are known for?
Man, well, we got to introduce Smack a little bit. So
Well, that's why, I'm kind of trying to tee you up. Yeah.
Tee me up. So most of you probably don't know who Smack is.
I know who Smack is. He's the best.
and people watching this will absolutely know who Smack is, but no Facebook, no social media. Like the guy is just
He's a
in the
ghost.
shadows, but he's like easily the most underrated fab guy I think that we know.
He's fantastic.
He's amazing.
He's the third wheel of IDS, but he's the quiet one that nobody knows about. But yeah,
if you see him on the starting line with us, he's probably got a straw hat on or something like that. Like
Consultant shirt.
He's the
Yep,
consultant.
he's the
yeah.
consultant.
Honestly, it was just kind of an idea, because Smack's a Mustang guy. He has a 93 coupe or something like that. And so he was like, I think that there's enough room to put a triangulated 4-link in the back of one of these.
I think we need to put solid axle on this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. End quote.
End quote. And so, and then we just pulled the subframe out of the car. There's a ton of room because in the 240, above the subframe for the IRS subframe is the gas tank.
Okay.
So there's so much room for activities up
Yeah,
there.
once you take the gas tank out, it's wide open.
Once you
it's wide
take
open.
the fuel cell out, or not fuel cell, but the gas tank out of it and the suspension out of it and everything. There's so much room up there that he started. I'm not kidding you. It was probably on the ground, and he got underneath there with a tape measure and was just like, "Yep, it'll fit." And I was like, "Oh, go to town, bud. Let's see if it fits, makes it work." So
you guys went and got like an 8.8 out of a Fox body or whatever.
I think he had one, yeah. But yeah, 8.8 out of a Fox body, make it
and
work.
then put your car on the lift and started trying to figure it out.
Went to town.
No, he built it on the ground.
It was on the ground,
the floor
of his shop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just knocked it out, and it turned out amazing.
Yeah.
There hasn't been much revision since the very first one he made. I mean, very little.
Yeah, I think the only thing we've changed really is the drive shaft loop, so we can get the car a little lower. I think it likes being lower, and then we added a couple more holes to give some people more, adjustment. But past that, he nailed it. I mean, it's been awesome. Yeah, it's #1 game changer for the chassis, really.
Yeah, and it does. It bolts right in. So I mean, you can have no fab ability and really order that for you guys, and it bolts
100%.
in there. And
we had partnered with a couple of different promoters, like right when we were thinking about this. So we knew it would fit, but we knew like at this time, I think we're like 5 or 6 years into business, maybe.
Yeah.
And so like when you kind of think through things, you're like, all right, where's our market going to be with this solid axle? Is it going to keep people out of the street class, like being, completely fabbed in the back of the car? And so I talked to Jason Miller, World Cup, and Victor over at BMP, and kind of gave him John Sears. John Sears gave us our blessing on it.
which is huge, yeah.
Which is huge, yeah. So we talked through. We told him, like, here's how it's going to install. Here's how everything's going to work. Here's where the shocks are going to mount, like everything. And, like, there was couldn't find an issue with it. They're like, this is going to be fine.
Yeah, because the shocks still go to the factory location.
And then the control arms it's the upper is a control arm from a Mustang.
Yeah.
Like it's literally a shelf unit, and everything's the factory Mustang triangulated 4-link. I mean, it's stock suspension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a 240 stock suspension, but it's stock suspension.
Well, and I think that's kind of the gray area of it is like it bolts into the factory subframe mounts. You haven't changed where the shocks are.
Right.
Nope.
So the only thing that you're changing is no longer has independent, it no longer has the half shafts.
Right.
Yeah. So you'd almost have to write that rule in where it says, like, you cannot convert your car from IRS to a solid axle. Like, that would be the only way to. And I think I've only seen maybe one event that's ever tried to do that. But for the most part, everybody's accepted it. So it's worked out.
And really, it's the wheelbase is similar, right? What's the wheelbase?
Yeah, it's like 99 and a half. Yeah. So I think it's like maybe an inch or something less.
Yeah, 100. Well, Mustangs, they're not all. They Ford.
Right. Some of these 240s ain't 99. They ain't 99 inches either. So
hey, I just had a conversation with somebody about that today. I was like, the carbon wings that we just come out with. We don't drill the plates because the quarter panel is on Mustangs because it has to match the body line, right?
Yeah.
Well, the body lines aren't good enough from car to car.
Yeah.
To drill them, and you're like, man, you need a little movement here. Yeah. I think they've gotten hopefully better at that.
Right.
Yeah. No, it was cool. We debuted the solid axle at like FL2K, like 17 maybe, something like that, and so. Oh my goodness! Like we went out and tested it, worked flawlessly. I think we went like 120 flat on like the first rip on it, and we had Smack with us, so like we made some changes and everything while we were down there, and we got the car to work really, really well. And so we tested it for quite a while before we ever like
released it,
posted it for sale, and kind of what we were doing. Honestly, like that's the way it's always been with IDS. Is like we always put it on a car. Test it, make sure it's going to work, make sure it's going to clear everything before we'll ever even really talk about it and before we can sell it. Like it's really, really big to us to make sure like we're not going to have problems because too many people put a product out that is not completely tested. It may work, but then like I don't want somebody to go 180 mile an hour on something that we've built and have a problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we test it, but it worked out great.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
So then you kept racing your car as IRS for a while, and then you just. So the other thing that you guys sell is just all these. You guys sold the coilover kits for a long time,
right?
Yeah,
and then it graduated into the subframe.
Yeah.
Once Matt came along, we started doing the solid axle stuff. But yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, we sell a ton of IRS stuff still. I mean, every day we're getting an order for an IRS kit. We have a lot of
yeah.
a lot of different chassis that we deal with. So
Yeah, all for the racers.
oh yeah, full racer stuff.
It's Japanese muscle. Let's we're gonna clean that up. But it's for the cool imports. You know? No, it's
The politically correct term.
Well, we have small block Toyotas now. That's gonna be a thing.
That's the new thing. Small block Toyota to the front.
Yeah,
That's cool.
But yeah, so we have, I mean, all the Skyline chassis, all the 240 chassis, the Supra. I mean, there's like 22 different SKUs that we have for. So it's not like we get a lot of recognition for the Supra and probably 240 stuff, but if there's a drag raced import out there, we probably make something for it.
That's cool.
So not to segue, like we will, like every time we release a product, it's like, well, will you make it for this
Right.
too? And like, will you make it for this? I'm like, well, only like 3 people in the whole world drag race that car. So,
Yeah.
Like, but yeah,
Somebody messaged us the other day. Was like, "Hey, do you make a carbon fiber wing for a Chevy Love truck?" And I was like, "Sir." We actually owned a Chevy Love truck. He did, and it's sick.
Yeah.
But the amount of people that think that,
yeah,
pretty limited.
Yeah.
we're getting there. But there's a ton of chassis. We've had great luck with like the Supra stuff too. That's took off pretty well.
The Supra stuff's cool, man.
Yeah,
Well, I
well-
think anything that you can bolt into something that truly makes it better for what they're trying to do with it, that really, like, ideally you tie the cage into it, stuff like that. But if you're an average guy, you could bolt that in, and I mean, it would work pretty dang well without doing anything to it.
Yeah, not everybody knows a good chassis shop either. And
Yeah.
then,
Chassis shops suck, bud.
Yeah.
well, you don't have to deal with chassis jail either. I mean,
They're time consuming. No, it's like it has its quirks, right? If we wanted to, we had no desire to make a true 4-link subframe. Like it was going to outlaw a lot of rules. Like there was no way to really get that done. Plus, I don't really think there's enough room underneath the car.
yeah, there really is.
And so like, we just no desire to even do it. And the Mustang works.
Yeah.
That's a great chassis.
Yeah, it's just a
it's
proven
perfect.
setup. I mean, it just works
Yeah.
really well. Simple.
Well, and there's so much information out there.
Right.
For the average person, you can go on, you can watch YouTube, you can Google stuff, you can jump on the old Yellow Bullet forums, you can find out a great way to set one up. Pretty simple. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So your car, it had an auto in it, right?
I went auto for a couple years and tried to race Ultra. The stick shift stuff was heavy for a while and really taken off, and then it kind of like died off, and I was basically racing the same 3 or 4 people every time I'd go. I'd travel all over the country to race the same 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like got a little stale for a minute, and so I tried racing Ultra Street for a couple of years. And
So you guys both raced Ultra at the same time.
yeah, he raced it the year before, and then the next year I tried to race it too.
Yeah, Sears was pretty, like, it was, nobody had ran like a straight 6-cylinder turbo car with nitrous and all this other stuff. So like we had a pretty unique combo. And one thing I'll tell you is like Sears will help you out if you come race.
Right.
Like if you're actually showing up. So I got my teeth kicked in for a whole season and showed up, and then he helped me with weight. And it wasn't until we went to, I don't want to say it was Prize Fight, Ohio Valley, that he started helping me with some of the weight, got some of the weight off the car. Because I think when we first rolled out, it was 30-50 or something like that. It was just too heavy. And then I think we got it to like maybe 2,900 pounds or 2,875 or something like that. But Ultra was fun. That was a big step in the right direction for me, racing Ultra.
Well, it's probably the first time you guys raced nationally.
Right.
Yes, 100%.
It just makes you a better racer too. I mean, you're trying to like pick every little tiny incremental, that you can, and you're focusing on things that you never really focused on before, like cutting an amazing light or getting the 60 foot down. Pay attention to what the 330 means.
Yeah,
like
your back splits, front splits,
back
all
splits, front splits. You're dissecting the time slip so much, and it just makes you a better racer. And then I think we took that information and went back to stick shift racing, and it really changed everything how we look at it. So
you just got bored of putting it in drive, John. Is that
I
what
got a
happened?
little bored of it, yeah.
You saw me out there winning all the time. Probably.
It was
Look how
fun,
easy
but
this is.
The stick shift stuff started taking back off again, and I missed it, and so I wanted to go back to holding the gas down all the way out the back. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because a lot of the stick shift stuff still is quarter mile.
Oh, it pretty much all is, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you found your sexuality again. You got rid of the automatic, and you went back to the man pedal.
Yeah.
And at that time, is that when you did the 25.3 and everything to it at that same time?
Yeah. I mean, that was, it would change a lot because honestly, well, another big reason that we went auto is because everybody was going to the adjustable clutches too, and I was still on a diaphragm. And at the time, I didn't know anything about adjustable clutches. So it was either we had to draw a line in the sand. We were either going to have to change everything, go to adjustable clutch, change everything with the trans, the bell housing, or we were going to just stick an auto in it. And that's what we ended up doing. But yeah, when we went back to stick shift racing, I was like, well, we're going to try to go over 200 mile an hour, and I need to put a better cage in this thing. So yeah, I did the 25.1 chassis. We set the bell housing up, trans up for adjustable clutch, and then got our feet wet on the adjustable clutch stuff.
And you built the chassis yourself. You did a great job.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, I can't afford to pay you awesome guys to do it, so I had to do it myself.
You did a great job, though,
thanks,
man. You really did. Oh, and I think that's what hot rodding is, really, is like, the average race car guy has to figure it out themselves. And honestly, what I see is the average race car guy can do about anything. Like, you're a Swiss Army knife. You know what I mean? Like, if you need to figure it out, you'll figure it out, that's the will to win. That's all. I mean, there's a lot of conversation can happen there, but I hate when people say the words "I can't,"
Right.
and like if "I can't" is going to be in your vocabulary and you drag race, you're not going to win. You got to figure out how to say "I can," and whether that's figuring out a new. I mean, you could weld and stuff, but that's not like your trade,
Right? No, not at all.
You only learned how to weld so you could weld on your race car.
Basically, yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I can't afford it, but I can figure it out.
Exactly.
True.
Yeah.
No, that was cool. It was cool to watch you do that all yourself, and look at the pictures, and yeah, dude, you did great. And so you went back stick shift racing. Did that make you happy?
It did make me happy. It was fun to be back, but it was stressful trying to learn the clutch.
Yeah, because that was a completely different thing.
It was so different, and we struggled for sure, but we got there.
I was excited you went back. Stick shift racing is so much fun.
Yeah.
I think running out the back, I've never taken a car quarter mile.
Really?
Nothing fast. Like, I've coasted through the quarter mile. And
probably faster than most, yeah.
Yeah, but like I've never, I really want to go to World Cup and
I'll put you in my car. You go for it.
I want to go 200, I'd like to go 200 in the eighth, but like, I mean,
I can't. It'll be not my car then.
Yeah, at some point, hopefully we have something we can go 200 in the eighth.
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, I would love to go quarter mile racing. It'd be fun. I'll take you up on that, Dave. That's
100%. You can drive it. You got to build it though. Tradesies.
Yeah. Well, we could talk. So your car, you raced Ultra, and then when John decided that he was going to go back stick shift racing, you kind of were like, "Well, I want to go no time racing." Is that kind of what you did?
Yeah, we went Ultra, and again, we learned a lot. Like you learn, like John said, you learn how to dissect everything, every part of the track. It does make you a considerably better racer when you're racing more legit. And I say that loosely, but it's very professional. It's a professional style of racing, way different than what we were used to. And so I took that and what the car weighed and knew that I had 200-300 pounds of ballast in the car to make weight. I had a cast 76. I think we went like an 86 in ultra trim and like 19, which I think they go 40s now, like low 40s. But
it's crazy how fast
it's nuts how fast they've got in those combos. But I was able to throw an 88 on it and take the weight out, and I think instantly the car went like 60s or 50s or something like that. And so locally it was competitive. It was fun. We went like if you stay away from the big like 20,000 to win or 10,000 to win payouts, like you stay in your lane, you can have a lot of fun in no time. But I chose to race in Florida every time I go race no time, and so I get my teeth kicked in. But it's still like the no time stuff is fun. It really is, especially for an import guy. Like it's kind of hard to tell how fast my car is.
It sounds really fast.
It sounds really fast.
Oh, I have a great story about this.
Yeah.
We went. It was the local no time race. Had to race Dave. And, like, Dave, man, I didn't know how fast Dave was going. That's everyone talks about no time, and they're like, everybody knows how fast everybody is, and I get it. You learn, but like, you don't really know how fast people were going that night.
Yeah,
and we were on
exactly.
like a pretty bumpy racetrack, and it was at Clay City or Kentucky Dragway, however you want to say it. And like that deal, like they did a great job prepping it, but it's still bumpy.
Yeah.
So I raced Dave, or we raced it. What was that, second round?
Yeah, second round.
And man, I bumped in just a little too deep, and I knew to hold the button, but I did not hold it long enough, because I was like, I want to have a decent light here because Dave's fast.
Yeah.
Freaking went red.
So I love you. You know, he comes up, we're talking about kind of
Right.
like, you know, how fast the cars are. And he kind of told me how fast he went. And I was like, oh, yeah, we went that fast too. Yeah, you know, and we were way off that.
Yeah.
Way off that. So I knew he was going to try to just chop the tree down on me or
I
whatever.
don't remember what was wrong with the car, but it was way off. It was going like 5.0s all night.
Yeah, we blew it up in Indy
But
the
it
next
sounded
weekend.
fast.
It does sound
and everybody
fast.
was coming up to us like, man, that thing's getting it. I'm like, I know, right?
Yeah. We had no idea. Like, I kept adding power to it, and it's going nowhere. Like, something's wrong with this
Right.
car, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, here we go, you know? And I'm like, yeah, we've been this fast. Like, you better cut the tree down. You know? It goes red. And I'm like,
Sometimes you
this
gotta
is,
get in people's heads.
this is great. Yeah.
Yeah, we went a 460, and Dave
Yeah.
went a 5.0. I'm like,
Yeah. It was like, I think if the car was running good, maybe it would have been close, but no, it was fun. That was hilarious. Yeah. We got whooped in the finals, I think. I can't remember, but
I was so mad
yeah.
at myself, but not at Dave.
It's fun. It's fun having that car and that scene, because you know you really don't know how fast it goes. I did tell everybody because like it's no longer. Well, that's gonna be different.
Yeah, well, that's a great story too. Is like, when you posted how fast your car went, like it speaks to your guys' character. Nobody thought that it was that fast.
Right.
I mean, it was actually a true like no time car. Like people, you could have. I mean,
Yeah.
You never reached your earning potential with that. I mean, you could have really hustled some people.
I think we were getting there. You know, I took it down to the Red Barn.
Yeah.
You know, Conley set it up for us, and we went like the very next time I made a lap in that car after it left Conley's shop. Like, and that whole team helps out. Like when you go down there, like you're in a group message with Eric and everybody in Dalton. Everybody's helping you out. We went 109, right? First button, and I'm like, here we go. Like this car is gonna roll, and I think we went 450s, and then we had a converter problem. Switched to a new converter, and then the car went like 30s. And so it was a blast. We went to the semifinals on what I think is the biggest no-time stage that I've raced on is FL2K. And we're racing like big block 900 cubic inch nitrous cars and like twin turbo big blocks and a couple billet Coyote cars and stuff like that. So like not where I belong with a stock block 2J, you know, or a stock, you know, block or whatever. But the car was fast. Like it worked pretty well for what we did. It was incrementally quick. Like it was repeatable. Like the car, we had a race car, you know, it worked great. So
What was the fastest it went?
it went like a 38, 169.
Yeah, and that's still 8.8, an 8.8 Outback. It's
Yep.
got
Small block Toyota.
small block Toyota.
Like I can tell everybody now, cause that was a couple years ago, but I mean, it was stock block. We had billet mains in it, good rod and piston combo from IP. Like IP does all the tuning and induction performance and all those guys, but stock cylinder head with like some valves and springs in it, some decent everything was off the shelf. Like you could buy anything you wanted for the car. Like it was
About as much as nitrous as Charlie Brown runs.
yeah, it did have a lot of nitrous, but you know, like anybody could duplicate that car, which is cool because that's kind of like a testament to our brand. Like you can buy our shelf suspension, you can buy a shelf, you know, subframe kit. Like everything you can buy off of my car, you can buy off our website or from Induction Performance. Like super simple.
Yeah.
So, and we went out there with a lot of data, and the car worked really well. So,
Well, people really screw that up. They think the data and the laps is really what it really matters, man.
Oh, the car went significantly quicker leaving it alone for a season. Like normally, like every year, I'm like, all right, we need to change turbos, we need to switch this, we need to switch that. So, like from the 22 to 23 season, didn't touch it, and we went 2-3 tenths quicker to the eighth. So
yeah, just nitpicking it, kind of back to the
Right.
Ultra Street stuff.
I think the main change was the converter, but I mean, and which is a lot. Like I don't want to take away. That's a big change.
No, that converter bud's mystical magic in the middle of a race car.
And it's never for sale. Like, it's in the car for good. I got a good one. It's not going anywhere. So it's cool. But yeah, like super fun car. I never would have imagined the car would go that fast. I didn't believe it. And then the next lap we backed it up, and I'm like, okay. Like,
Yeah,
this is
that's
cool.
tight.
Yeah, this is holy crap. This is a race car. Yeah.
I think the frustrating part about no time as a business owner too is that like you can't brag.
Yeah.
And it makes it tough because you take our parts and you do really cool shit with it, and you're like, man, I really want to tell the world.
Yeah.
No, that's a tough thing. Brad and I, we talk about that a lot. Like, I love the no prep stuff is no time, but I mean, people do share times, but I do wish that as a business owner, like, I wish the board lit up.
Right.
Sometimes I'll see comments about how fast people think we gone, and it's either like really way too slow or it's too fast, whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, I do think that there's just no replacement for that board lighting up. Like, I think like you guys know it because you've done both.
Yeah.
But like, standing on the starting line when if you're at South Georgia or you're somewhere and you're like, man, you got like a hot tune-up loaded up that thing, and it goes, and then you see the board light up, like,
yeah,
it's awesome.
Right.
Well, it's fun for your team on the starting line too, because you're chasing a number. And when the board lights up and you see a number, you're like, all right, your team's excited for you too.
Yeah, it's cool.
All you get is a win light, which is awesome, right? You want a win light, but I think we're going to dabble back in the class stuff again. So we'll see.
No, I miss it as well. Like we've talked about it too. And like, actually we have I won't say it now, but we have a combo that we think that we could race in some class stuff. And
cool.
I would love to go back and do it some more, and I think that's I think that's the trend of racing right now, is people want a really versatile car that they can do. If I want to go do this weekend, I can do it. If I want to go do this the next weekend, I can. Talking about your car, like, I'm like, man, we need to be able to put slicks on it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you got slicks on it, we can race it.
Anywhere.
We can put radials on it. We can put slicks on it. We can do whatever. Like, we can go race wherever we want, whenever we want.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing. And, from the slick to the radial, people are kind of figuring out there's not as much difference as what they thought that there was.
With the chassis.
Yeah, with the chassis.
Yeah. I was shocked to hear like what you guys did from back to back with the radial versus slick. Like, not much chassis change. Like, that's I never thought that. Like, I'm like, well, because I kind of wanted to always do both. Like, the front side no prep stuff's real hot, and I'm like, man, I want to get involved in that. I think that we have a low torque, managed car. And like, it may do well.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, I got this thing working so well, I don't want to touch it. But,
Well,
to some degree, you don't have to mess with it a lot.
Well, and people get afraid of touching something that works great. Like you said about your converter, you're like, I ain't never getting rid of this thing.
No.
But like, if you take good notes and you pay attention to what you're doing, you can always go back to whatever, But
yeah, it's just a tool, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But with your car, you put the clutch back in it last year. You raced it for a season. So when you left, you're on the diaphragm clutch, which is a regular clutch. So now you were trying to figure out, like, you're on a radial with a stick. Like, so back to the perfect converter. Your converter's changing every lap, which that has to be really difficult.
It does get frustrating because it's not like once you find a clutch tune up, you can't just leave it there. Like, it's not like a converter where you find a good converter and you're like, all right, I'm done. Wash your hands, and now you just got to tune around it with ECU. It's, we got to do power management, we got to do clutch management, we got to do everything, and everything has to go together to make it to work right. So it's challenging.
So you just weight the clutch differently, and then like you have to resurface it. So like, what's that look like?
Well, there's two attacks on the clutch. There's a base. There's what they call base spring pressure, and there's 6 springs on the clutch that press on the hat. And you can actually adjust how stiff the spring is. So that's your base pressure. So you can have it to where basically your pressure plate clamps is about as tight as a stock Honda. like barely grabs the clutch at all, or you can have it really tight to where it's like as soon as it touches, it wants to go. But
It's like a lockup.
yeah, so
Yeah.
there's a big range there. So that's your initial hit of the clutch, and then the weights on the fingers are what brings the clutch in, is what brings your lockup RPM in. So you can target an RPM, and I got input shaft speed on the trans, so I can see how fast the input shaft's turning against the RPM of the engine. So we can see exactly on the data log when the clutch locks up at RPM. So we can change how much weight's on the actual fingers and put more weight on it to make it lock up sooner or less to lock up later. So
That's sweet.
it's pretty cool.
It's an adjustable converter. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah.
But the clutch I have in it now is phenomenal. I mean, it's night and day to what I used to run, and it works really well. It's Black Magic clutch, but I mean, we went to the reunion down in Florida and this couple weeks ago, and it worked amazing. In the heat of the day, we went and made the very first rip on it ever, no testing, and it spun, but it tried to go. So we're like, well, I think we're close. So we made a small adjustment, took some clutch out of it, and 115 first rip in the heat. And I literally never touched the clutch because again, for the rest of the event, and it was 115, 113, 114, 115.
That's pretty rare to not have to do that.
Right.
Oh,
So
it was awesome.
it was easy.
It
Pulled
was
it down
great.
and went up there and made a rip.
It's like you had automatic.
I know. It was literally like having an auto, but it would just work. So
That's amazing.
Yeah,
So you did you went. Well, we can talk about this. Like, you put the clutch back in it last year, did the cage, and then
2 years ago.
or 2 years ago, then you weren't well. I mean, you're happy with all that, but then you wanted to try something different. So what did you do?
As far as the compound, yeah. So we went to compound this year, and basically the reason why we did that is because last year we were on 88 single 88, and it made good power, but we wanted more power. Everybody else is running more mile an hour than we are, so we needed more power, but we had it pretty much maxed out. But the problem was it was still tricky to get it up on the chip. We had to be pretty ornery with it on the anti-leg, and then on the gear changes we were losing a ton of boost. I mean, we were running 65, 68 pounds of boost. It would drop to 45 on the shift.
That's a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
And then it would have to recover. So basically it was on 68 pounds of boost, but it was not making 68 pounds of boost for half the run. So the problem, so we were like, okay, we want to make more power. We need to put a bigger turbo on it, but it's just going to amplify our issues everywhere else. It's going to lose even more boost. It's going to be even harder to get up on the chip. So compound was kind of our thought of answer to fill the gaps. It works amazing. Like, that was our first outing with it, and it was our 1-2 shift. We were losing 2 pounds of boost.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
What a difference.
I know, right?
Game changer.
So we're not even have to be. It's on a 98 now as the big turbo and a 74 millimeter as a small turbo, and we're not being nearly as ornery with it as we were on the 88, and it's going just as fast. So
There's no nitrous, no nothing.
no
It's
nitrous
just-
now.
That was the big thing, was to try to get rid of the nitrous.
Not have to use nitrous. Yeah.
Yeah.
We tried to use nitrous last year, and it didn't go well on the dyno, so I never actually sprayed it down the track. But we had it on there in case we felt like we were going to get froggy, but never actually sprayed it down the track.
Well, that's a lot of stuff that's going.
Yeah.
I mean, you're shifting, you're spraying,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot to get right.
Right.
Yeah, the car, and it doesn't like to run out the back with a ton of boost and nitrous and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, it's just mean on the car. And like, when you're trying to go rounds, like, you have to have a car that's going to make it to the end of the road.
That's part of winning.
Yeah, it's part, you got to get there,
Yeah.
So I think like that. There's a whole other like story to like why we changed. Like, we did a lot in small doses to try to get the car exactly where we wanted. If we ditched the compound helped us ditch the nitrous, right? That was a solve. And then it also doesn't work the turbo so hard, so we don't have as hot air. So then you can ditch the intercooler.
Right.
And then the car no longer is 57 on the nose. We took 30, 40 pounds off the front of the car to get the car to scale better. So like, the chassis was lighter, happier, made more power. Like, all of this stuff kind of like worked together. Like, we made a move over here and it fixed over here, and it worked great, obviously,
Yeah, we made one move and it fixed three issues right away, and I'm like, oh, that works great.
And that was like the whole plan. Like, it was kind of like, well, we could put a 98 on it, slow the turbo down a little bit, won't have to work so hard, leave the nitrous on it, but then you got to spray between the shifts, and that's been upsetting the car. And like, there's a whole lot of stuff, and the car's still nose heavy, so like, we have to figure out a solve for that. So we were putting weight in the back of the car. It's like, let's do this, do this, do this. And it like fixed all these other things, and it worked out great. So
that's sweet.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of times people don't think through like you're saying, you see a problem and you want to more Band-Aid it instead of solve it, and doing all those things made a way better race car.
Right.
So it was awesome to watch you guys. I mean, you went down there, you scrambled around, you got methanol from us, like we're loaded up, and then you just rolled down there, and it was like, man, it seemed like from the time it was your day, it was your weekend,
It didn't start off that
did.
way, but it didn't seem like it was.
Yeah.
We had some truck issues on the way down, but kind of seemed like.
Well, you're not racing your truck, Joe.
Well,
so
no.
yeah.
But we got to get there. Yeah. It didn't start off well, and honestly, the 2 weeks, the time between the dyno and race day was just a mess because every time I'd fix one thing on the car to get it ready, I'd find 3 other things I had to fix or get ready or change or make right, and it was just all the way up to the very last minute trying to make everything right. And I think that's a big part of winning races too, is getting in the garage and making sure everything is absolutely perfect on the car. Because when we went to the racetrack, we didn't work on it at all. Like,
we didn't touch it.
no, we just put fuel in it, cooled the clutch down, and went and won. And that's what I hate, working on the car at the track. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
So if I can do as much as I can at the house to get it ready before we go there, then that's a win for me. I mean,
What is it? It's an age-old saying, and it's right. That race is won long before you got there.
Right.
You do need things to go right the day of, but it's the 7 P's, man. Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. So,
okay,
yeah.
Ricky, that's a new T-shirt. We're gonna have to do that.
Yeah, 7 P's, baby.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
No, it did. I mean, and it was cool because like being on the starting line and witnessing all that stuff kind of come together, like because we're running stick shift. Right behind us is Extreme 28s. So like the list of drivers that are on the starting line looking at the track and everything ready for their lap, you turn around and these guys are like, wow, like absolutely no test. We were supposed to test the weekend before and the car wasn't done.
Yeah, I just can't get it done.
We just couldn't do it, so it was like absolutely no testing, no fluff, like brand new combo.
And sometimes, man, I think that like a lot of times people rush to go get something tested when maybe their time would be better spending those couple days in the garage. Mm-hmm. Testing's obviously super important. If you can have both, that's the way that it should go. But
that's ideal.
But taking a car to the racetrack that's actually ready to go to the racetrack is way more important.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think we knew enough to get us by. Obviously, it worked out, but we had a pretty good handle on what we needed to do to start with. Pretty good starting point on the clutch. Pretty good starting point on the compound setup, so it worked out pretty well.
Yeah. No, and that compound, man, Chris Masson built the compound stuff, and man, he did it. I mean, it looks awesome.
Oh, it looks fantastic.
He's awesome.
He's really good at what he does.
Yeah, I've known Chris since I was in high school, so he's always helped me with all that stuff, and the previous turbo setup he built too. I mean, he's always been amazing help with our program, both of our programs.
Yeah, he's built everything: the cage, the turbo kit, everything on my car, pretty much.
Yeah, he's a great fabricator. I mean, he lives like a couple
30 minutes from here.
Yeah, he actually lives like 5 minutes from my house.
Right.
Oh, really?
So yeah, we and Chris live not in the same town, but real close when he moved to Kentucky. But yeah, I love Chris. Great business. If you if you haven't heard of Maston Fabrication, you can go to his website. He's got a bunch of stuff on there. But
yeah, he's been a huge help. He sells wings for our chassis. He does. Actually sells the turbo manifolds off our cars too. He's got a jig for it too. So
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, he does a lot. Builds the billet mounts for our travel limiters. Like he helps us do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Chris is great, man.
Yeah, it's cool to have people like that in your corner for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of really talented people in like our little area of.
It's nuts.
I think a lot of our success is literally just from that too. I mean, between having Chris on our corner and Smack in our corner and like you guys in our corner, that's just made us just way better at doing this drag racing thing than we ever could imagine if we didn't have the help. So
yeah, it takes a village, man.
Oh, for sure.
It was like a couple days before we left, we threw it up on blocks just to kind of plot the car out and make sure we wanted to see what it is. And we looked at it and I ran it through Brad. I was like, hey, Brad, like this is where the car's sitting. Here's kind of what we're thinking. And he's like, it'll work. So we made a bar change literally right before. So
It worked amazing. God
yeah,
dang.
knew everything. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
compound. I mean, new clutch. Scaled
Bar
the car
change.
differently, and
Yeah.
new bar change. Like it couldn't have been a completely different race car. So
Well, back to the Mustang thing, I think like, man, I see a lot of times people chase the back of the race car so much when like their problem's really in the middle or in the front.
Yeah.
And they just keep swinging bars. But like on a Mustang, man, like, I mean, you guys' car's not a Mustang, but it is.
it is.
It's
Yeah.
Japanese Mustang.
It's
Yeah.
Chinese Mustang. Yeah. You know, it's like, man, we've got enough laps with Mustangs that we could tell you something
Yeah.
that's pretty dang close
Right.
that you should be able to make work. You know, like it's just that's not that hard anymore. You know, it's getting that clutch right now. That's a different deal.
Right.
Yeah. Well, like back in the diaphragm days, like that was fun. That was fun stick car. Like nobody was doing the slipper clutch deal. It was super competitive. We travel everywhere, racing stick shift. Like everybody was kind of in that, like fighting for sevens. Like you've been in that game for a while, so it was the first to the sevens. Then trying to get the first to the sixes. Like that's stick shift racing was always cool to me. Like it was cool to be a part of. And then it kind of got nuts, stepped away. But now it's still nuts, but it's more fun still now.
It's a lot more. It's faster but more tame now. I think the diaphragm days are when everybody was the cowboys on the bucking horses and doing this down the track,
Yeah.
and everybody was
That's
really
what
excited.
made it awesome,
that's what
though,
made it-
yeah.
There's fireballs, there's dancing, everybody was all out of shape. I mean, our super close friend Ray. I mean, he was in the
Hillbilly
stick shift.
Ray, man.
Hillbilly
I love
Ray,
Hillbilly Ray.
Yeah, everybody, he about wadded up every time he went down the track, but
Yeah, never did. This is what it
everybody,
is.
yeah, it's just how you had to drive them. They were on
Yeah.
fucking big old slicks, and the clutches were unforgivable, and it was just take you for a ride, and it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I loved watching Hillbilly Ray go down the racetrack. It was so awesome.
Yeah,
He needs to build another race car.
Yeah, he does. He needs his.
Maybe we
car.
can talk him into that.
His
He's fishing
car's
right
an
now.
X.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's gray, and it's got. I think it actually has one of our 4-links in it. So I think that's the same car.
Probably.
So yeah, I do. I miss that era of time was sweet, man. Like honestly, like I don't know if you guys know like how big of an influence you've had on me personally. Like I appreciate the compliment, that we get to help you guys, but like, man, like I did not like drag racing, but like going down and watching you guys and Ray and Josh and like and then Charlie Polly that local group of people, Darren Hildebrand. Let's see who when Tino was driving the Bomber. Right. Like gold wheels are cool now.
Yeah.
But the Bomber was the original gold wheel cool car. Like all that stuff, man. Like that era of time. Without that era of time, we wouldn't be sitting here.
no,
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd have stopped chasing what I was after. Yeah. Small tire stuff around here is awesome, fast too.
have a lot of fast
X235
cars
stuff.
around
X235 was big back in the day here, and like Ultra and X and stuff. It's
Charlie
crazy.
had the XOS series. And,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it was cool.
yeah, I remember when XOS was still happening when we first started. So we would go to XOS races and like talk to everybody and like try to drum up business
I got
at Kilcare. That's
funny.
Heck yeah.
So what's the future look like? What, like we've talked about the past, the present. Like the Supra is pretty in the future. Well, I mean it's here now, but that's a future thing. So what else?
Well, product wise, or business wise, I mean, we just got to clean up a couple of things. We got obviously there's new chassis getting raced every year, so we're going to continue to build that. We've partnered with a couple new vendors, so we're going to come out with some new products. We won't kind of give away what we're going to do, but, there's a never ending need for what we're doing. I don't think that there's a lot of companies out there trying to build drag racing suspension for import cars. So, like people come to us and say, "Hey, I got this chassis. Will you make it work for here?" And so enough people do that, we'll build it, right? And we'll just keep chasing that number. And I just think for business wise, I think we're just kind of dipping our toes in it. Like there's so much more we could do there, but we just need the time.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. I don't think we're going to grow huge more than what we are right now. I mean, there's a few more chassis we're going to do, but we both have day jobs. I mean, IDS is like a side thing that we use to pay for race cars. and you know, we got to juggle our time, but you know, we stay busy. I mean, there's hours a night that we, you know, work our day job, come home, work a few hours IDS, and then I think any bigger than that, it would be hard to manage. But
You know, we could just do it full time, bud. And it's safe.
I mean, I got warehouse space, you know.
I hear you.
We got
somebody-
resources, bud.
Yeah, we got somebody shipping every day.
No, it's fun right now. Like, we have a great foundation. We got a great clientele base. Like, let's not screw it up. Like, let's have some fun while we're having fun, build the cars. But your combo's so new, I don't think anything's changing on your car for a while. But
Yeah, I'd like to keep it. I mean, this winter I'm not changing anything crazy. I don't think. I mean,
save that.
Yeah.
this
Write
this
that down.
winter's been a lot of work, and a couple winters before that I did the cage, and that was a lot of work. I'm burnt.
Yeah, not looking to work a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we have a whole season, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, you?
I think we're getting big changes for mine. I'm excited about. Like, it's everybody kind of knows by now. We wadded the car up in July of last year, so I haven't sat in a car, you know, in almost a year. It was wadded up pretty good, but it's getting fixed, and hopefully,
It ain't too. You didn't do too bad on it.
to me, I broke my heart. It's broken, but it's you know, such a clean chassis to start with. You know, I ruined it, but it's I'm excited to do away with a couple of things, upgrade the back half of the car. So
Spill the beans on it.
it's coming out. So it's you know, it'll be a different chassis in the back of the car. So obviously it needs to, like, we've just like kind of how we evolved into the solid axle stuff, and like I kind of talked John out of putting the solid axle on the IRS stuff. Like, we've already proven that the bolt-in deal works really, really well. Like, we've been, you know, 1.0's 100 times in that car. Like, I think that we could have gone a lot further. We still can. There's people on our subframes. We've sold probably 50 of those things. So there's a ton of people that's on them, but I want to put a 4-link in the back of the car and back half it. And
Yeah, you want to go faster.
yeah, I want to, you know, when I want to stick in the no time stuff, I think that it's fun. You know, I think that there's, especially local, like streetcar takeover stuff is fast. Some of the local, like Muncie stuff and Kentucky Dragway's fast. Who knows? I might let you pilot it on front side, no prep deal. So, like, I'm excited about having a different car. You know, it's, I'm going to stay within X rules. I think that's always the goal, is to not ruin the car too much to where it's not versatile, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to kind of change the back of the car and everything like that. So, more to come on that for sure.
Yeah, we got a vacant chassis table you're threatening to steal. So.
Yeah. I need to take it home so I can hold it hostage. Yeah.
No,
So no one
it's-
else can use it.
Well, there's only 3 customer cars in here right now, and one's getting picked up next Monday, and then the other 2 are really close. So we've definitely we've been continually trying to work our way out of chassis work, but it's, you know, it always seems to find us with our friends, which is fine. Like, because we need, like, you know, it's the same as you guys. And I see businesses that do it without, but like, I want to be able to touch and feel, right? And like, if we want to try something, we're either going to try it on that 4-door or we're going to try it on, you know, somebody that we know and that we can really be intimately a part of. Right. And like, if you're a race car company, you have to do that. You need to be at the track. You need to be putting in laps. Like, in that way, like, when someone calls IDS, they're going to talk to Dave. John doesn't answer the phone too much, right? It's more Dave.
He gets a lot of phone calls.
It's kind of half and half.
Yeah.
But
Australia calls at like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm like, I have to answer that phone call every once in a while. But, you know, I'd say it's pretty mutual on how we answer the phones. But, like, you're right, though. You have to support your product. Like, and honestly, I think that's the only reason why we've been as successful as we've had is like, we're reachable, you know, like, we're willing to give help. And really, we just want to prove that our stuff works, you know, and really help people through it. People can get pretty far left field on their combo pretty quick, and you can bring them back in and see a noticeable change in their program, and you get to be a part of that. That's awesome. You know, that's pretty cool.
Well, at the end of the day, man, it literally, what you make, what we make, brackets with holes.
Yeah.
They're brackets with holes.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and like, you know, sometimes people get all crazy about that kind of stuff. Like, dude, none of us are like really making anything that's like groundbreaking, right? Like it's race car stuff,
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, what do you do with these brackets with holes? Like when they call you guys, they're talking to a bracket with hole user, right? Like you're out there, you're doing it.
Right.
You have two cars that are very successful. What they do, when you call here, you're going to talk to me. Like it's, we can help you, right? Like we can help you. And I don't think people understand the village really. Like you guys help us, we help you. The Conleys, the Eric Gashes, the Jason Watermans, like just this group of people in this area that we get to work with. Like, man, we're better together, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Pretty badass village for sure.
Oh, it's
man.
Yeah. And honestly, like I don't know if you guys ever thought about this, but like what it would cost a person to have access to this village the way that we do, it's an inconceivable number.
Right.
It
Absolutely.
really is.
It's some things you just can't be bought.
Yeah.
We just got in the right time, right people.
Yeah.
How it works.
I felt like this, like when we were on the starting line and we went like 113 in the heat. I mean, it was 146 degrees. And I'm not taking away from, there's a lot of people that can go out there and do the same thing that we did. So it's not anything crazy, but nobody was doing it. Like 10 cars in front of us spun and we go down it. And it like makes you kind of think like I called Brad before we left to make sure the bar changes we're going to make was going to work, right? We have the cars on all the things that we've learned up to this point to make that car make that happen. Like was all these other people that have done it. I've asked for help. Like I've learned a lot along the way. And I feel like our group, like when I stand on the starting line, I'm pretty confident that our team can hang with anybody's team, you know? And I 100%, you should feel that way about your own group when you're on the starting line. But I really feel like when I'm on the starting line with our team, like we're just as competitive as anybody, So we just needed more horsepower.
Yeah.
That confidence that we get from just having a good team like that, when all I have to do is get up there and focus on race car. And that's what makes, a good racer. When you're confident in your car and the only thing you have to worry about is cutting a light and holding the gas down.
Yeah.
It's just way easier.
No, dude, I love, like when I'm sitting in the race car, people come up and they'll be like, how fast you trying to go? Like, no idea, brother.
Yeah.
And they're
That's
like,
Brad's job.
Yeah, they look at me like, well, seriously, like how fast, like, what are you trying to do? I'm like, listen, dude, I literally have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to let go of this button and I'm going to be just as surprised as you are.
Right?
We're going to be surprised together.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Yeah. Because my job is I'm up there to cut a light.
Yeah.
And get this thing down through there. If I do those two jobs great, I'm confident that somebody else is going to do the rest great.
Right. And if you don't do your job great, you're going to hear about it.
Absolutely, yeah. I got tough critics.
I've been there for both sides of that for sure. That's funny. No, it's true, man. Like it's like you get comfortable in the car, you start cutting better lights. The cars, it's just all goes together. So
yeah, when you don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about the car or think and having the back of your mind like, was it going to hook here? Like you don't worry about any of that stuff besides just racing, just beating the guy in the other lane.
Yeah,
and it's so much easier.
It's cool.
Yeah, nailing this first 60 foot like early in the event was
big confidence
like a
booster,
game changer, because now we're working on like the 60 to 330, and we're trying to move those numbers there, because after 8th mile it's just hold the gas down. There's not a lot going on back there, a lot more speed, but keeping the car happy. But like you start working incrementally on different parts of the track, like that's where we were at lap 2, day 1 of working on the car, racing the car. Like we're working on the middle of the track now. Like we've got the starting line figured out, and we didn't have to touch anything, and the car just worked. Like that was unexpected, but a lot of data put us there, I guess.
Yeah, not complaining.
Unexpected, expectable.
Yeah, like it wasn't like it was an educated guess.
Yeah,
right? I'm not going to take too much credit. Like it happened, but when not to touch it. We're like, all right, don't mess with it. We're going to work on the other side of the car now. Like some people would have absolutely went out there and was like, oh, we went 113. Like let's try to go 109. It's like
it's not time for that.
That's not time for that. Like like we got to the semis and we were racing Atkins, and we kind of knew that like we had to get down the track. Unfortunately, had a problem, and I it would have been a really good race. I think incrementally he probably would have beat us maybe, but who knows? And then, you know, getting to the finals and you're looking at like, all right, the car's working and we don't have to change anything. Like super confident going into the finals where all he's got to do is cut a light, and he did. And then it's like, it was over on the starting line. So, and not to take anything away from who we were racing, like it was an awesome race, but so confident going up there in the finals. Like,
John, you're good at cutting a light with the stick shift
crazy
car.
good. Yeah.
Probably one of the better ones.
Yeah. Just saying. Yeah. No,
your lights are always great.
No, they are. Like, it's crazy. Like, he's been like double O's, like 007s and 005s and 002. Like, it's honestly better lights than what I can cut just letting go of a button. He's got a whole lot more to do in there. So.
Yeah, I don't know how it worked out, but it does. I don't know.
It's a big old DC.
I know,
just in
right?
there.
Yeah.
A lot of foot to move.
Yeah, Rick, you see that John is like
Old school.
Yeah, dude, he's just rocking the
taking it.
DCs.
Yeah.
Dude,
Still.
his shift knob's a bowling ball, dude. You should see it. No, it's crazy. But no, it's fun. It was cool. So.
All right. Well, Eddie, what's the closing thoughts?
Man, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you the number one thing I can give advice for people that are kind of like consolidate your team, have a good team, right? You don't need to ask 100 people a bunch of different questions to try to find your answer. Find somebody or a team that you work with, grow together, work together, and bounce ideas off each other. I think too many times people like ask for, ask a question and keep trying to find verification or trying to find like, hey, this guy said this. They'll ask 20 people for an answer, and they may get 20 different answers, but consolidate who's helping you on the car, and then just stick with them. I think that's the biggest thing. We've been with Induction Performance has helped me tune the car for a while now. They've built my motors or helped me with my engines forever. I've had the same trans guy, Mike Turner. He's been doing my trans since day one. Like I haven't changed too much of my circle. We've kind of just grown into it, and it's worked out really well. So, and then freaking put your car on scales. I think that's another one thing too. Like lately, just today, and it's fresh. Like the amount of people that have called me after, we made a post about like what the cars kind of scales out at. It's like people like you need to work on all parts of the car. Suspension is just one tool on your chassis, so work on all parts of it. So
don't be afraid to ask people for help that you buy parts from.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that will like buy our suspension and then wait 6 to 8 months after they're struggling to ask us what the knobs do on the shock.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, well, why don't you talk to us in the beginning to help you get going? It's just like, well, we didn't really think about it, but
they're not used to it.
we're reachable. I mean, I think we're a good size that we are reachable, and I think if we're not Jags or AFCO or some big company, we're reachable. Maybe not all hours of the night, but if you send us an email, we're going to respond to it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think people need to just ask us questions more, and if they have a question, and not just assume.
Yeah. No, and I think too, like it's partially the easy button. Like if we're talking about Mustang versus suspension, it's like if you have our product on it, you have your product on it, whatever, you call it, you can give a recommendation to somebody that, man, it's going to put them in the ballpark. They're not going to fight that. Like, they're going to get, like, we can all give people recommendations over the phone that will get you to a place to where you could get to where you start nitpicking the combo.
Yeah.
Most people's goals is to go low 120s, high 160 foots. Well, man, we did that a long time ago. Like the recipe to get there is pretty easy for you. Just listen, and there's to wrap that up. There's more than one way to get something down a straight line. Yeah. So to your point, if you do ask a bunch of different people, like you are going to get different answers because there's different ways that people
to do it. Yeah.
Do so. Not that they're wrong but you mix a couple different ways.
Yeah.
Now you're completely
You can go down a rabbit hole real quick.
Yeah.
So.
Talk to the people you get parts from.
Yeah.
Don't ask 13 other people that have different parts, and they could throw you down a rabbit hole you want to go down. So
yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
It's cool. Well, good boys. Congratulations on your big win. John really screwed up. Didn't bring the big check.
I know.
But how much did you win down there?
10 grand.
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
That's a big check.
It's a
right.
big check.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get to see I'll have to send you the winner circle pic.
It was
you haven't
great.
seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Took
funny.
a note from our buddy David Farlow. He likes to do
funny.
that, so I stole his little pose.
Oh man, I love Dave.
That was fun. Hopefully, first of many. Like, it's early in the season. I swear we would have struggled with that car all year. Just trying to get it figured out. So we were way further along than I thought. So real excited.
Yeah,
So,
that's
I've got a lot
great.
of confidence in it now. I think we're gonna actually race some small tire stuff to fill because we don't have any big stick shift races till the end of the year. So I think we're gonna go try to beat up on some auto cars.
Well, and that if you got to hang on to the clutch, you honestly there is an advantage there. It's a hard advantage to find, but a converter that's adaptable
Yeah.
all day. We have that with dumps, stuff like that. But way harder way to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely that's sweet.
I mean, if the track's junk, I can make a change as a clutch. I mean, I can't make it in the staging lanes, but I can change. We can make a big change in the pits.
Yeah.
I can basically change my converter in 10 minutes. I mean,
We should try to put this small block Toyota in Ultra. Then we call Sears and say, "Hey, the stick shift stuff, we could be real light. Let us go play with those guys again."
440s is spicy.
Yeah, we have to do it.
Yeah.
It's got to go faster than that.
for
Really,
sure.
unfortunately, the
Yeah.
stick came as fast.
Yeah, it's real fast.
That's cool. All right. Well, if you guys haven't already, please go. They have Facebook pages and stuff. Import Drag Solution. If you Google the King Racer, you might find John.
There's pictures.
But yeah, please go check them out. We work a lot together. They use some of our brackets on their kit, and it's a great relationship. So I'm thankful for you guys. But
We're thankful for you.
Yeah, man.
But as always, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you later.